So a few years ago, I had a run-in with the entities known as the Black-Eyed Children. For those of you who don't know, the Black-Eyed Children are beings that roam the night. They knock on doors and try and get into your house. When you get a good look at them, they look like they're from a different time period. Then you see their face. They have no eyes. Or rather, their eyes are so black, they look like they're not even there. Any encounter with them results in the most terrifying night of most people's lives. However, my encounter with them just falls short. For reference, I was 17 when this occurred. At the time of writing this, I am a 19, almost 20-year-old, and I was working at an indoor water park that might have been referred to as the Puddle. I was a lifeguard, and was the last one heading home late one night. I was soaking wet and freezing, despite it being around 80 degrees outside. I got into my car and locked it, pulling my phone out for some music. I read a couple of messages and got distracted, and suddenly there was a tap at my window. I looked up and saw a couple of kids staring at me. I rolled the window down just enough to hear them clearly. "What's up, guys? Are you lost?" I asked in a polite tone. They didn't really respond. They didn't really move at all. Finally, the smaller child spoke, and as he did, my heart dropped. The voice that came out of this child's mouth was deeper than my own. It was so deep that it sounded like Satan himself spoke to me. "We just need a ride home. Could you let us in and take us there?" I couldn't move. I was frozen in fear. "Come on, mister. Just open the door," it demanded, knocking again. As they were knocking, a car's headlights illuminated their faces. They had voids where their eyes should be. When they saw my look of horror, they grinned and started pounding so hard on my window that I thought it would break. I kept trying to start my car, but it wouldn't. Finally, one of the housekeepers of the hotel the Puddle was built around came out to throw trash, and I heard them walking and went to warn them about the kids. When I look up, they were gone. Now this could have been a hallucination brought on by the amount of stress I went through, but it was very real for me. Anyway, my car ended up starting, and I made it home in record time. Like I said, it's not the scariest thing that's happened to me, but it's up there. Let's just hope they don't find me again. I had a seriously strange encounter last night. I ordered a frozen yogurt from Postmates, which is a food delivery service, at around 10:45 p.m. At around 11:20, I received a notification the delivery driver was close, so my girlfriend and I stood at the curb waiting for our food. I was immediately surprised to see that my delivery guy was driving a brand new Jaguar. I have never seen a Postmates delivery driver in such an expensive car, as I'm sure many of you probably haven't seen either. The driver also had a young, seemingly normal-looking man as a passenger. When the driver got out, he moved bizarrely slow, and the entirety of his eyes were black. It were as if his pupils have expanded to cover the entirety of the visible area of his eyeball. The worst part, however, was that everything that this guy did was horrifyingly creepy. I have never met a creepier individual. When he exited the car, he said something along the lines of, "I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd stop by." This statement made no sense, because I had just ordered food from him. Also, the guy put my frozen yogurt in the trunk. Keep in mind the item is small enough to fit into a cup holder, so why would he put it in the trunk when it can easily fit right by him? Then he slowly fished around the trunk for my yogurt. My girlfriend said he stopped what he was doing, looked up, and stared at her, with what she described as an extremely creepy grin for a significant amount of time. I was looking somewhere else at this point, because I just thought the guy was weird and wanted to keep my contact with him to a minimum. I chalked up the creepiness to the guy being socially off, and the eyes to a medical condition. However, my girlfriend was absolutely petrified and told me about these black-eyed people she'd heard about. I don't know what his deal was, but I'd rather never see him or anyone like that again. I have 3 stories from my own friends who've had interactions with these beings. Firstly, in Eugene, Oregon, my friend Amy told me about her interaction with a BEK. And this is amazing, because the BEK had black skin. It's the only example I've ever seen of this case. So, this being knocked on her door late one night and simply asked for water. Amy brought her some water in a glass. The being drank it, set the glass down, and walked off into the night. All black eyes, of course. Secondly, my friend in Grant Pass, Oregon, David, had a classic experience in a car when 2 young boys with black eyes knocked on the windows and wanted in. He just got terrified and locked the doors and drove away. Now the third story involves my Aunt Rosie in Medford, Oregon. One day she gets the knock at the door, and it's 2 little girls dressed like Little House on the Prairie, and they've got the antique baby buggy with little dolls in it. My Aunt Rosie asked the girls if they were okay, and they asked for water to drink. My Aunt Rosie asked if they wanted to come inside. They said no. Could they just have some water to drink? She goes to the back and grabs 2 bottles of water from the fridge, returns, gives them the water bottles, and the girls proceed to guzzle the water down like hungry wolves. My aunt turns from the baby buggy to where she was doting on the dolls and sees them doing this, and tells them they can just take the water with them. And that surprises the girls greatly. They said okay, and wandered back down the long driveway. My aunt closes the door, then thinks, those girls could have been angels. Reopens the door, and they're gone. Just gone. And this is too long a driveway for them to just disappear like that, unlike other houses on the street. She asked around the neighborhood after that, and nobody ever knew of the girls nor had seen them. I asked if she knew what black-eyed kids were, and she said no. I asked her if their eyes were normal, and she said no, that they were all black.